honest, being around teenagers, like that's the energy. It's like young energy. We can say all these stereotypes about them and all these things that they do. And do they make bad decisions? Absolutely. But it's truly about that energy of just like their love for life. And, that's what's so attracting to them for me, I mean, I just want to be talking to them and near them, of course.
Oh gosh, it's just so refreshing to hear. I've been coming across this term lately. I don't know where I read it. I saw it online, but someone was talking about like soulmate clients. And I was like, wow, that's actually a really beautiful term. Like I've never really come across that before. Obviously my messaging has shifted over the last few months too. And I'm like, wow, that really landed. And I've started to actually reflect on that. What does that look like? What does it feel like? Who does that look like too? And, thankfully, I must say, like, if we were to have soulmate clients, I would say you're definitely up there because we're just so much in alignment. Totally. It's beautiful. I'd love to know from your end, like, what really kind of attracted you to either myself, Teen Coach Academy, the collective. Talk me through that, because I definitely feel it. Yeah.
So I agree. One, I love that you're like using the word aligned a lot lately, because it makes a whole lot of sense. It's definitely, when I found you, I had just gotten a Facebook a few months before. So I didn't really know how groups, I'm just learning how groups work. I didn't know all that kind of stuff. But I definitely was, just like it popped up. I think you might've messaged me and I was like, what is this? And then I kind of looked into it a little bit more, partially because it was really good timing. So I had just had a business coach who was really good, but I think I wasn't far along enough in my business to really like appreciate all of it. Like she gave me a lot, but I didn't know how to digest it. So, and I couldn't keep up with everything. So she wasn't bad, but it was like, I needed just a little more hand holding at the beginning to kind of, and then I saw you and I was like a teacher, like I started like looking at it a little, then I was in the group, I think. And I was like, oh, truly, I thought I created teen coaching. And then I was like, okay, I didn't, this lady did. But then I was like, so, okay, it wasn't my idea. Shoot. But with that being said, I was like, well, how could this have possibly happened? Like, how could I have possibly found someone that is coaching who am trying to be, So it wasn't just a blanket business coach, because there's nothing wrong with that. But I was like a niche business coach in the niche that I'm in. And because I think it's very different. Like people don't understand like teaching and it's an education. It's like, that's a niche, like that whole thing. So how do business people and education people are the same, but different. So it was finding someone that had both things that I need the business part and I also need the coaching help, but I have all the education piece. So like it transferred really well for me. And now, I'm totally in alignment. Love it.
Well, music to my ears, of course. I'm totally going to be unapologetic about that. But I do love how you do come from an educational background, even though you don't need it as a coach. I find that it's just something that we have deep appreciation for. I'd love to know, how has your role as a teacher and also in education, how has that actually complemented your position as a coach? What has really helped you transfer those skills?
So, I mean, I guess initially when I first said I'm going to do coaching, I had thought about it for years. I researched it, I looked into it, but I was like, I know how to talk to kids. I'm good at this. So one, I realized, yes, I'm very good at building relationships. I'm very good at talking to kids. I'm there for them, but and I'm working on the skill of coaching them. So yes, it's different, but being that I had like other educational skills with kids, it was I don't want to say easy transfer, but like part of it I already have, like the rapport, like I can talk to the kids, and now it's just learning like better questioning, the sequence and all of that. So I think it transferred really well. But I think definitely I had to like humble myself with the actual questioning, so you get, and I've been doing education for 20 years. So you get into habits of how you respond and how you say things. And I use why all the time, you know? So I think it's a really good marrying of and to be honest with going into this year with my teachers that I'm presenting to at the beginning of the school year, I'm presenting to them about motivation and the achievement gap and engagement. And what I'm doing is I'm infusing the coaching, you know, like I'm giving them like half a dozen coaching questions, or, you know, putting coaching, hopefully to push coaching into their classroom. No, are they going to break down limiting beliefs in the middle of their lesson? No, I don't expect them to go that far. Maybe they do, but is there something they could do to talk to the kid after class? Is there a way they can talk to them on the side? So it 100% is, I mean, the reason why kids don't achieve is partially skill, but it's a lot of internal, the way they think about themselves.
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
Of course, I love how you're embedding it already into your job, like as an assistant principal in the school, and then also building your own thing outside of school as well. You mentioned that practitioner, and I'll never forget this. Well, firstly, your reaction to your award was probably one of our favorite moments at the event. But when it comes
still I can't wait to get it. Can you send it?
Yeah,
Can
yeah,
you send it?
I'll send you Australian stamps and write you. We'll be pen pals and write you a letter. And so
I'll
when
come pick it up if you want.
Just fly over to Australia. Why not? When it comes to the coaching frameworks, you mentioned how you've actually used them for yourself. Like you've learned to coach yourself through your own limiting beliefs. Talk me more about that, because I love that.
Yeah. So like historically, as a teen, even an adult, you know, it's like, you have an uncomfortable feeling. You don't like the way something goes. I'm talking about myself, you know, and right away it's like, call this friend, call your mom, call somebody and chit chat about it, you know, and then you're just like, wait a minute, you just keep talking about this problem or thing. And there's nothing wrong with talking about your problems. Obviously you need to work through them, but is there a way that I could really like dig down myself before sharing it with anyone else, or just kind of like, do I really need to react that way? Is this really that important? And then use the frameworks, whether it's the physical coaching questions, or it's any of the activities too. Sometimes, you know, like I'm bummed. I'm like, man. So I go into the grateful activities and I say, stop it, you know, and I make myself like literally write. I don't just flip through them. I make myself like write them down in my notebook. And then if it doesn't work on one activity, I go to another activity. So it's almost like, you know, conditioning your brain to change and doing it yourself. So would I love to just call you up and say, Lenita, coach me through this? Of course, like that would be the easiest. And like, but that's not how the world works. Like everyone's living their life. So if I feel like if I can coach myself the best I can coach myself, and if I've tried to coach myself through it and I can't get through it, then I reach out, you know? So, and that's what you would hope a kid would do, you know, because kids keep a lot in. And then they react and they get into a fight or they argue or whatever it might be. And then maybe there's a way they can use one or two questions when they start feeling themselves getting anxious or having negative emotions, you know? So I figure like, yeah, for me and having to balance, even as an adult, like I'm not 100% perfect at life, obviously. So yeah, coaching myself through it is really big for me.
Love it. You know, narrative around soulmate clients. We want teenagers, we want parents, we want teen coaches who are self-led, you know, and they really can make those decisions. And of course, you don't want to bottle up and not ask for help and guidance. But the way we want to design our world is for you to trust yourself enough to run this on your own, you know, especially one day, and not be so reliant. I think there's a lot of gurus who make you feel like you need them. And if you're not with them, you will fail. And so with us, it's like you'll win regardless whether you're in my world or not. You just happen to want to win with me. And that's something that I just really love, so we can do life together. I want to take you back to that conversation we had. It made me laugh. And I told you this the other day when I saw this on the street and I thought of you. When you see teenagers, what's the feeling you get? Like, it's been summer holidays for you in the States. Talk me through what happens when you see kids. Yeah.
So I saw some today actually, and at school, some of my kids started coming in because we have parking. So they have to senior parking. It's like a privilege, this whole thing. And right away, it's like, I throw all my work to the side and I need to go talk to them. And they don't even want to talk to me. They're like, not even, they're doing their own thing, so right away, it's just like automatic, like excitement, just what are they thinking? What are they doing? What do they do this summer? Where are they going? Like, and so yeah, as soon as I see them, like we had spoke about in the mall, like stalking them, like I say, I gotta stop. I'm like, you gotta stop doing this. So you're gonna, and just kind of wanting to just be, but to be honest, being around teenagers, like that's the energy. It's like young energy. We can say all these stereotypes about them and all these things that they do. And do they make bad decisions? Absolutely. But it's truly about that energy of just like their love for life. And, that's what's so attracting to them for me, I mean, I just want to be talking to them and near them, of course.
Oh gosh, it's just so refreshing to hear that. I love that. I just love what you said about the young energy. And I guess it's always surprising to them. A lot of teenagers don't realize maybe that there's adults like you and I who absolutely love being in their circle. And now I'll fast forward into your coaching. Talk me through your coaching sessions. What have you been helping teenagers with, and what type of impact have you been witnessing with both the parents and the kids you support?
Yeah, so I've actually been coaching some kids that you typically don't think. I still almost go, do they really need coaching? Because they're not getting bad grades, they're not in trouble, they're good. But it's honestly like the feedback I've been getting from parents is like how they've kind of upgraded. So it wasn't that they were like at rock bottom, they were just kind of like floating around, doing okay, but maybe a little too anxious or a little too this or that. And they kind of have been better at, say, interacting with their brothers and sisters, or thought better about themselves, or, so it's like incremental growth. So have I one of my kids in a couple months gone from 0 to 60? No, but they've taken some baby steps in the right direction. So it's that incremental growth, and that, like small things that we don't think of. Like one mom was like, well, I don't even talk to her about her problem with her sister anymore. It's so silly, this and that, but I'm glad you're just talking to her about it, just to give them an ear. And then it's half the times I'm saying the same thing the parent is saying, but they're hearing it from someone else. And that whole thing, which is really nice. So feedback. And I've also been coaching parents, and it's like, it's funny. It's things I might take for granted, like things about school that I know, like, well, this is how you get in contact with this person, or make sure that you talk to the teacher about this, whatever it might be. And that's been kind of a nice, kind of coaching on the educational system in a way, and just practical, like my kid's never been to high school before. How do I handle this? And just trying to route them in the right direction. Cause a lot of parents go right to the principal or right to the superintendent, and you're like, well, wait a minute, maybe, like, how do we handle this? It's maybe not as big as we're making it out to be. And just help them through those kind of things. So it's like a little bit of coaching and a little bit of like educational coaching too.
There's a couple of belief systems I'd love to share with you around like teen coaching, the philosophy of teen coaching. And number one, well, we are delivering pretty much the same message. They're just hearing it from a different messenger. And so parents will be like, oh my God, I've been telling my kid this for years. And all of a sudden they're listening to you. Well, that's meant to happen, mom and dad. Like it's, teenagers are conditioned to not really listen to parents all the time. So the fact that you're complementing the parenting in the home, total boss. And then secondly too, with teen coaching, we are filling in the gaps. Like I know you would know this 100% with the miscommunication between home and school. And so as teen coaches, we're coming in and really filling in those gaps and enhancing the relationship with the school or with the parents. It takes a lot of load off as well from teachers. Well, around what are you loving the most about your coaching? What's your favorite element with this whole dynamic and relationships that you're building?
So like, there's a couple things. One, on the back end, I know this might not be part of your question, but I'm actually genuinely really love creating content. It's actually kind of healing for me.
Wow.
So that I know. Oh no, it's like definitely like, I feel like if I'm having a concern, yes, I'll coach myself through it, but I really have been like, I'm not writing my deepest, darkest secrets, but I actually been like trying to post some things that, yes, help teens, help parents get that message out there. But also it's like, I'm like going through this, and so is a teenager. We're all humans. So I don't know, it might be like I might be having a relationship problem with someone else, and then I reflected on what I said or did, and that kind of thing, and without giving any names. But so that's been really great. It's almost like my journal now, in a way.
Oh,
Yes, so that has been like, and I think you influenced that because you were writing physical journal entries you were putting in there, and I was like, I need to share more of like what's happening right now with me. So that's been connected to coaching, for sure. And as far as like coaching, I mean, I think it's like, just like it is in person, just like being with teenagers and like chit chatting and talking about movies and all of that, but then like kind of like flipping it and getting into like their deeper feelings. So, and really like noticing when they're, like I like it when we say like, why don't you try these 2 things this week? And then they come back and I'm like, they did it and it worked. And then I actually, have spoken to their parents and they really did do it, because sometimes, you're on a Zoom meeting. I don't know if they really did it, but I'm taking their word for it, but then I'm following up as well. Or they come with their papers of like their routines, and they like wrote down their routines on the papers. You can see them, so it's like they are actually doing something that they're picking up and they're creating change in their life.
It's exciting when you're attracting people who want to upgrade, as you mentioned before. You said this word, like, I'm not sure if they even need coaching, but what I love is that they want coaching. And we're not looking for teenagers or parents who need that push. Like, we need to convince them, oh my God, I need you, or you need this. It's parents who just want to level up. It's teenagers who want more. Things are good, but why can't they be great? And so that's what we're attracting here with teenagers and families. It's that they're going for great. Your social media branding, you've said it's quite healing as well. What have you, I love that, because, I show up in that way too. Vulnerability has a place, and you want branding to be an extension of who you are. Where did you have any resistance with social media in the beginning or with anything else? And how did you work through that resistance?
I think in the very beginning, so like a year ago, I got actual social media full blown. Like I never had Instagram or Facebook. Like I had told you, I had a LinkedIn, it was professional. I posted like if I won a certificate or award or something, it wasn't feelings or anything like that. Would connect for jobs and things like that. So at the beginning of social media, I posted like of maybe like quotes or really short posts about something. Because I didn't really know any different. I was just kind of like starting out. And then I actually had a business coach prior to you that I spoke about earlier. And the focus was really Instagram and Reels. And I don't know, I feel like I'm not necessarily put together with them, but people have been saying like, oh, I love your Reels. So I just started like doing that. Like, so I had a little bit of practice before I met you, but I definitely like was worried about like the way I talked. Did I say did I mess up anything? Are they looking at the background? Like all this silly stuff. And now I'm just kind of like, I have an idea, like that, let's film it.
Exactly. And I think the biggest lessons we both have learned and continue to learn is the person that judges us the most is ourselves. For the majority of the masses don't care. They don't care how you speak and how you talk. And when they do care and they judge you, my belief system is, you know what, that person's just not my person. If they're going to judge me on my punctuation all the time, like my punctuation and grammar still isn't perfect. And I'm the CEO of TCA, if I say man, or sometimes I'll link in a little bit of a few Arabic words here and there in my content. Like if I'm going to get judged for that, they are not my person. And I love that you're now at this stage where you're like, this is me, I'm showing up real raw, and you're showing yourself online, you're being seen. So, and then now the consistency compounds over time. I'd love to know, and I want to bring you to Mastery, because I remember the conversations around when you did join Mastery, because we have, of course, we have different programs, like practitioner coach program is just one branch of TCA. And so that's where you started with us. But then you upgraded to Mastery, and remind me, like within 3 days, it was like, I'm hiring a virtual assistant, I'm going to get these systems done. And you really moved fast, even though the plan wasn't for you to actually move to Mastery that quickly. Talk me through your level of thinking, like how come you did want to upgrade? What really inspired you to not just stay in practitioner and actually join us in mastery as
Yeah,
well?
I think I just wanted to move fast. Like partially it was timing. So I knew I was off for the summer. That was a big motivator. But then I was like, hold on. I like practitioner had a ton and it still has a ton. Like I'm still not like past practitioner by any means. So I was like, wait a minute. Like I didn't even finish this course. Why would I go to another? You know, it's like you're in first semester, but you jumped into second semester. Like you can't do that. You got to finish the first one, you know, like traditionally that's how you think. And I'm like, okay. So then I was like, well, how am I going to move forward this school year faster? And I didn't know it was to get a VA was part of it or maybe I did. I don't know if you had mentioned that or not, but it was like, I'm like, this has got to be where I've got to go to accelerate myself. I worried about the money for sure. But then I was like, am I going to let that stop me? Because how am I going to get more clients if I don't level up? And then I'm expecting more clients with the same thing I'm doing. That doesn't make sense. So it's like, just push yourself and like, just stretch yourself, figure it out later.
What's your favorite part of your own growth, you know, and expansion and mastery over the last few months?
But growth wise, I think was more personal growth in practitioner in the first preliminary, even practitioner and mastery, forget it, so much more. And like, I mean, things like doing my finances. It's like, wouldn't I have done that 20 years ago? I didn't, you know? So it's like, I think the growth, like having the accountability and then the growth is really just like we spoke about, like personal, like the journaling with the posts, the business part of it about like, and I think it's like just enough for me to hack, but like my mind is blown often and I need to like even a couple days to just let it digest sometimes and then work on things. But yeah, it's like you get to a point where you don't think, you know, like I was looking for growth with opening a business. I need a new adventure. And it's like mastery has really like just thrown me into the adventure. Just enough challenge, but not too much where I want to go and like stop.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like that the right balance really.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to hear that too. You know, this adventure, and it is a new level of sophistication as a business owner and looking at the finances, the recurring cash flow and what that looks like revenue wise. And they're definitely different conversations.
Yeah, like I think every time I get frustrated, I realize, because like you'll say like, just, you know, like I kind of think like listening to what you're saying, like obviously you've done it already. So it's like whenever I say I get like, I'm like, oh, I'm going to forget this, or I'm going to stop, or it's not happening fast enough. But then it's like, what if the next like post or the next phone call or something is the magical thing, you know, or, you know, like, what if I quit, you know, like I quit today and then I would have had to get a client next week or, you know, that kind of stuff. So I think it's just like those ups and downs and not trying to like react to them and just like say, just keep doing it. Just keep going, keep going, keep. So.
You're one post away from that game-changing conversation. You know, you're one DM or phone call away from your highest sale. You're one coaching session away from you know the best team client you've had to date. And so I've set the record, of course, you know, setting TCA. But when you guys break my records, it makes me the most happiest person and trainer and coach. Like, for example, when Renee crossed 6 figures and she was our first teen coach to do that, she broke my record. She made 6 figures in less time than I did. And now people just start breaking records after that. So yeah, I think of it that way, is you're now just,
that's a testament to the program. Like it obviously works.
Exactly.
You know?
It works so well that I sometimes get scared of putting it in the wrong hands because of how well it works. And so that's why also our criteria and really, you know, acknowledging and honoring you guys for your existing experience with teenagers is a big deal for us. But you're right, it works so well. It could work for anyone, and we just got to be careful.
Half the time, if something's not working for me, it's probably because I missed a step or I forgot to do, you know, because there's a lot to it. Once you get the hang of it, okay, I get it, but it's you still might miss something. So, and it might be small, but like it does make a difference the way you respond to that or the way you send that message or whatever it is. So
Exactly.
yeah.
But yeah, you're on it. You're making moves. Big congratulations already for everything you've achieved with us, and I'm excited to continue to support you and witness your growth and bring on Florida. This is going to happen. I'll be over in the States sometime over the next 12 months. I'm just putting it out there.